Welcome, everybody, to the OMG Wrestling Podcast. I am Tony Pizza Guy. You might know me as Anthony Douglas. Most of you know me as Tony Pizza Guy, joined by my co-host with the most. I guess you're mostly just a host as well.
I guess.
You can be a hostess. Jack, Jeremy, Jack, Lubash, whatever you want to be called.
Yeah, we'll go Jack since that's what Pete likes to announce me at Magnum.
And joined by our huge guest at this time, Frank Sailor.
Frank the cameraman from Magnum Pro. No, it's Logan Davis.
Why'd you call him huge? That was kind of mean.
Because I'm setting up.
I've been eating a lot.
He's not overweight. You're such a mean host.
I was setting up for. Don't call me. When I think of the word host, I think of like the person at Applebee's when you get there. They're like, "Would you like to sit in the booth or
Those
a
are my
table?"
favorite people.
Really?
No.
Okay. Well, let's let this train wreck continue. Frank, the clown, is our real guest. How's it going, Frank?
It's going well. Train wrecks are something I'm familiar with, so this is no different than my everyday life.
And we actually had a little bit of train wreck here earlier. We were recording this for about 10 minutes and didn't realize that his voice was not coming through, so that was kind of interesting to know. We talked about clown makeup and all these fun things that you'll never hear about. Maybe if you subscribe to our premium podcast and pay us $10 a month. We don't have one of those, but we could.
Yeah, that was gold, solid gold what we were recording. That was the best stuff we were ever recording, and then somebody forgot to hit record.
But as you know, you can't see Frank's face today, but if you want to see his face, you'll have to come out to WrestleMania, and maybe we'll tell you the clown story that we talked about on the podcast. You'll have to bug us, tap us on the shoulder, and let us know you want to hear that story, and we'll tell you all about it. But besides that, how you doing, Frank?
I'm doing well. I'm just relaxing. I might be going to a house show tonight in Milwaukee. My whirlwind life continues, so until then, I'm just kind of laying low.
What's the big main event for that house show?
I'm not exactly sure. I know like Cena's there, Orton. I want to say like Ambrose is there. I'm not entirely sure. So there'll be some combination of like Cena. Maybe it'll just be Cena versus Orton. Maybe we'll just get Cena versus Orton for the 1,000th time. That would make any sense. I have no idea.
I have a feeling Big Show's probably involved. It's probably going to be Big Show and Kane versus Cena and Orton.
That sounds about right.
That's about right. Yeah, that sounds good. So we have a lot to talk about today. We have a whole bunch of stuff. We want to talk about Frank the Clown. We want to get the idea behind the clown, how you got popular road stories, WrestleMania, all that fun stuff. We have WWE copywriting Too Sweet. I don't know how that's a thing, but apparently they can copyright a hand gesture. We also have Pro Wrestling Tees taking down the Bullet Club parody shirt, so I thought I'd wear mine because this might be the last time I can ever show it again. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. China's awesome webcam video. Undertaker returns at Mania, Magnum Mania, NXT, Drew Galloway, all this fun stuff to talk about.
That's a lot of stuff we got to talk about.
We're going to have Frank on for about an hour, so then he can go and take care of his daily things, his life that he has to go. I don't know what I'm trying to get at.
Daily things.
I don't know what daily things you have, but...
You don't want to know.
Yeah. We'll save that for another podcast. But let's get right into it, Frank. Let's. Why don't you fill us in a little bit? I know you had started to before, and then that's when Tony realized he didn't hit record. But why don't you tell us a little bit about how Frank the Clown became?
Yeah, surely. I had one of my buddies from that I grew up with. His nickname is Dubs. I always have to give him the proper credit. We went to WrestleMania 24 in Orlando, and we were sitting in the very classy establishment known as one of the half Long John Silver's, half Pizza Huts.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, that's a thing?
that is a thing in Orlando, Florida. Yeah.
That is like a dream come true.
It is great.
I've only seen the Long John A&Ws, not the Long John Pizza Hut. Well, they're all owned by the same company, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they could do any variation.
Yeah, I mean, it was wonderful. It's like right outside the stadium there. So like popped in there a couple hours before the show, sat down, we were just talking. And we were trying to think of ideas to like stand out at just one show, just like one wrestling show, maybe in Chicago, like where I'm from and everything and whatever. And we're sitting down. He's like, well, listing off a bunch of just stupid, ridiculous ideas. And then he's like, the most stupid and most ridiculous idea of all. He's like, why don't we dress up as clowns? And he said this in a completely like joking way, like in no way, shape, or form did he think I was going to actually like be on board with it. And immediately I was like, genius, let's do it. So from there, we went to WrestleMania, did all that stuff, got home. Our first line of business when we got home was find clown stuff. So we went on the internet and we bought like these just gaudy costumes, like full on like clown costumes with like furry like little ball things all over them, and we got like these giant plastic shoes and little hats. It's just ridiculous. And we went to our first show was in Grand Rapids, Michigan. We drove there for like a SmackDown ECW taping. It was in 2008, which is so weird because it's now 2015. And we got front row for the show, and it was a hit. Like all the fans thought it was hilarious. We thought it was hilarious. We couldn't stop. We were like giggling like schoolgirls the whole time. And all the wrestlers, we were getting interactions like the entire night. And I was like, oh, this is great. We're on to something. And then kind of we went to like local shows like in Chicago and like St. Louis, Indianapolis and stuff. And it just kind of took off from there. And he grew up and like matured in life, and I didn't. And he faded out of it. So now I'm on my own. And here I am. I made the OMG podcast.
So you could have had like, what was your friend's name?
Dubs.
So Dubs the Clown and Frank the Clown could have been like a pair.
It could have, yeah. We're still like close friends, and there's no animosity. There's no like.
Can we ever like see a one more match type thing where like you guys team up again?
No, I get all the spotlight now. Screw him. No. I've suggested it a few times, and he just he kind of feels like he's like handed the reins off to me. He doesn't want it anymore. He's okay with what I'm doing. So if possible, I would be down for it because it would just blow everybody's minds that if they remember the second clown, that the second clown is now back. But yeah, I guess in wrestling,
we could say that you're sort of like Shawn Michaels and he's like Ric Flair. You're like, I'm sorry, I love you. I'm going to continue the clown stuff.
Yeah, I just put him out of his misery.
So you said there were other ideas that you were throwing around besides the clown idea. What else were some of the ideas you were throwing around of dressing up as?
My original idea, it was just so stupid and like unoriginal, was like I had this really neon orange like button down shirts, and like I wanted to be the Orange Man. Like that would have never caught on, and I don't know, like at the time, like I thought it was hilarious, like, oh, I'm gonna wear this ridiculous, and it was like a completely ridiculous orange shirt. It wasn't like just this typical like burnt orange or anything. It was like this just like totally like you could probably point out of anywhere orange.
I thought you were gonna say you're gonna be like a '90s kid type gimmick, because that would be cool too.
I should have been like, I wish I had like a better like idea than that, but we tossed around that, and then like ridiculous like neon shirts, and trying to think what else. I think we were gonna wear like masks, like just like Halloween masks or something. I don't know. We eventually settled on clowns, which a part of me regrets because I have to put face paint on my face constantly. But at the end of the day, it's turned into something crazy awesome. So I don't have any regrets.
How long does the face paint take? Do you have your friends like knocking on the door? Come on, we got to get to the event. And you're still putting on your makeup.
I actually hired multiple face paint artists, so I don't ever touch my own face now.
Oh, there you go.
That's not true.
Diva.
I heard one of you guys were like, oh, wow.
I saw the one you did, which I thought was cool. It was like half clown, half Frank.
Yeah, it only takes me like 10, 15 minutes now, and like that's the half clown, half Frank is me being just pure laziness. Where I'm just like, oh, like I can like still like it's like a variation. I can do the half clown and then like half my face, because you got to keep evolving in the wrestling business. So yeah, it's my way of evolving, and so I pretty much mastered it for the most part. And I try to mix it up sometimes, like just try to do something different. But at the end of the day, it just always turns out to look exactly the same.
Do you got a special paint job that you're doing for WrestleMania?
I'm working on it. Like last year, I hate what I did last year. Last year, I wanted to do like a New Orleans theme. So when I thought like New Orleans Mardi Gras, I thought like the colors green, gold, and purple. So at the end, I had like these ridiculous green jeans. Like I don't know why I even had them. And I was like, oh, I should make use of these. And then like I bought like these ridiculous bow ties and stuff, and like a green shirt. And I just I'll just send you guys a photo because it's just so ridiculous. And like I use green face paint. And then I realized green is like the least used color in this Mardi Gras scheme. It's like very gold and purple. And so I had like these green jeans, a green shirt, white and green face paint, like a purple bow tie, like New Orleans Mardi Gras beads, and I just looked completely.
And then they're like,
ridiculous.
"Here, Frank, come here. Stand by this green screen real quick."
Well, your fashion sense sounds weird. Like a bright neon orange button-up shirt and green jeans. Who has that?
Yeah, I don't know. There's.
I think
there's something
you
wrong.
were rocking like the Chris Jericho outfits for a while, right?
Yeah. I like to. I like to, dress up a little bit here and there, but I mean, now I'm backtracking and thinking of all these ridiculous things I've worn, and it's just I'm questioning every decision I've ever made in my life.
So you said it caught on right away when you did Frank the Clown.
Yeah.
People were catching on to it. Now, fast forward to today. I mean, you've got a lot of fans, and I mean, not only are they wrestling fans, but I mean, you've got some of the WWE superstars actually have enjoyed this Frank the Clown. How did that come about?
Basically, just from like familiarity, like just going and like being at like certain shows, or like if there was a loop in the Midwest, like like Chicago, St. Louis, like Indianapolis, like 3 consecutive days with shows, like if you go to all 3 of those shows, the same cast of characters sees you and everything. So just from over the years, it's like traveling around and being at different events and different like autograph stuff and whatnot, and just bumping into people. Everybody. I mean, some people are more interactive with me than others, and I feel more comfortable with screwing around with some wrestlers at shows than others. But everybody for the most part's been like totally accepting. Like they think it's hilarious, and like some people have actually gotten to know me without the face paint, which is nice because I like them, because if I were them, I'd probably think, oh, this guy's a complete psychopath. I'd never want to encounter him outside this venue. But no, I've made friends and, acquaintances with many people, and, I try to be a normal person, and it seems like pretty much everybody I get along with, and it's been like just completely weird that like, all these people that are larger than life on television I was watching for years, now I see them, it's no big deal sometimes, and it's cool to like be able to shoot the crap with them and just be cool.
Now, how the heck did you get? There's pictures out there of you and CM Punk, and he's got a clown wig on, afro wig on, and even John Cena. There's a picture of you and him, and he's got the afro wig. How did you get them to do that?
That is at the wonderful world of Comic-Con. For Punk, because Punk was the first. Was always my favorite, and he's my guy, and like I've kind of developed like a friendship of sorts outside the ring with him, which blows my mind. Because like growing up and stuff, and not so much growing up, but like when I was like a teenager, Punk was my guy. Like I was following him in the indies, and like I was downloading all of his matches, and like before WWE, and like I'm straight edge as well, so like I identified with him right off the bat, and like everything about him just appealed to me, and so in a way he was like my role model. And then actually at that Grand Rapids show, our first ever show, he was like the first ever guy to give us any sort of like interaction or attention. Like he climbed a turnbuckle to pose. He was in the first match of the night. He saw us and gave us like this like cockeyed stare and like tilted his head and was like laughing. I was like, oh, that's awesome. So then it comes like full circle. So yeah, like with Punk at the Comic-Cons, like I just brought an extra wig. I bestowed the honor upon him, and he accepted.
That's awesome.
Yeah, same thing with Cena. Like the Cena one was last year, and it was in Chicago. And I was walking up. I was one of the last people in line, and I had a bag with me, and he's like, "I already know what I'm doing, and I've been waiting for this moment my entire life." I pulled the wig out of the bag, put the wig over his hat, and the people around popped, and it turned out to be a great photo. So it was awesome.
Well, we know what the superstars think about you, but I got to ask you a very important question. What do your parents think?
That is a great question. They pretty much just, I would not turn a blind eye to it. No, at first, they had no idea that it was going to turn into what it has. Like, they're probably like, oh, okay, Frankie's just going through a phase. He's just going to be putting face paint on and a wig on just a couple times. So it's just a phase. It'll blow over. And now, like I like to consider myself a grown man, and now I'm a grown man putting face paint on and wig and traveling around. So I mean, I think the main thing is they know I'm having fun. Like I'm doing what I've loved to like watch and like I was passionate about since I was a little kid. So As long as it eventually starts paying the bills a little bit more, I think they won't have anything to say about it.
Yeah, because it was my parents. They'd be like, "What are you doing? Get a real job."
Right? Yeah.
That's all my parents always say. Get a real job.
Yeah.
So, how many WWE shows would you say in a year's time you go to and attend?
It varies, but like I try to hit, especially for pay-per-views, like I'm trying to hit like at least half the pay-per-views a year. So if there's like 12 pay-per-views, I try to like, I don't have like a goal. It's so much where like they're located and like if I can make them like, if they're within like 4 to 6 hours of driving, I'll drive. If not, like, you know, it depends how the airfare is for certain shows, or like if I got friends in certain cities that I can, you know, crash with or something like that, or if, you know, if it's one of the, if I always try to hit like WrestleMania, Rumble, SummerSlam, Survivor Series. I always try to hit the big four, and then like, you know, I like to try to get the Money in the Bank. 'Cause that's turned into a big show now. So like whatever's closer, I always try to get those ones, and then whatever else is near me, it ends up being like 6 or 7, maybe 8 pay-per-views, and then like for Raws, if they're within driving distance, I'll drive to them. I don't ever like really fly out for Raws unless like they're the Raw after a pay-per-view that's in like a nearby city that I'll make a whole trip out of. And then like for house shows, like for instance, I love house shows. House shows are my favorite because it's like so low key and like everybody's more interactive. There's no cameras rolling where there's like this pressure to like rush these matches, and everybody gets their time, and
Right.
like everybody gets like to hone their character and really work on the stuff that they want to put on TV and test stuff. So I've always enjoyed house shows more, which is why I'm like stoked if I'm going tonight to Milwaukee. And I almost prefer that. Like Raw's in Des Moines this Monday, and I went to Des Moines before, and it's like a 5-hour drive for me. But I almost prefer going to the house show, you know, in Milwaukee, which is a much shorter drive nonetheless. But I'd rather go to that than the Raw, just because I tend to have more fun at those, and I'm not like crazy about the TV and all that. So house shows are awesome for me, and so I just try to hit as many as I can. Anything that's close to me, I'll try to hit, and it's always worth my time. So I always leave happy and satisfied.
Well, if you make it to the Des Moines one, there are going to be some local guys there doing extra work for them. So you might see some of them from Omaha.
Okay.
So that'll be cool.
Right on.
So you said you go to like the 4 big pay-per-views. Is there one that you have the most fun at? Like my favorite pay-per-view is the Royal Rumble, just because it's always unpredictable. But going there live, like which one is it for you that you enjoy the most?
Let's not count WrestleMania Access, because I'm sure that's the most fun. But just the event itself, I would say.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, anything WrestleMania is like in a class of its own, but I would agree with you. Rumble is by far the most fun, and especially like the past couple of years, even though the show has kind of sucked, the crowd and the atmosphere makes it worth it, because it's all like these hardcore fans that are coming in for the show, because everybody has so much fun there, counting down and all the surprises and everything. And it tends, I mean, it's like I said, aside from these past few years, it tends to be one of the best shows of the year, no doubt. So that's the one. I think I've hit like the last 5 Rumbles, and my favorite was like the Punk and Rock one, because that was like a mind-blowing dream match for me. So, but all the Rumble matches, even though, you know, these outcomes haven't been what we probably wanted them to be, they're still, you know, just...
Well, I was going to say, that might be half of the fun, because you get to be a part of that crowd that like boos Rey Mysterio when he comes out number 30.
Right.
Yeah, the Rey Mysterio stuff is hilarious to me. But it's I love one of the biggest things to me is like the atmosphere. Like I love the atmospheres of like certain shows. Like I can go to a Raw in, I don't know, some obscure city like Hershey, Pennsylvania, and like the crowd's dead and like they're not really into it. And then you can go to a Raw in Chicago, or you can go to a Rumble in Philly, and it just changes the dynamics of everything in the show. And like everybody's so passionate. And they're so passionate that they end up being so loud, and they're voicing their opinions and their displeasures with what they're seeing. And it's awesome. And I always try to point like my casual friends, like fans, to those shows, just to show like, hey, look, this is how awesome wrestling can be when people really get behind it, or like when people really hate this stuff. This is how hilarious wrestling fans can be, because they just spit at whatever they're getting.
What was the vibe like at this past Rumble? Because from here, I mean, we heard like all the rumors on the internet about like there was like people were so mad with the outcome of this year's Rumble, and that there was actually fans like blocking wrestlers' cars so they couldn't leave and stuff. Was that what it was kind of like out there?
Yeah, it started to turn into kind of like a war zone. As soon as Daniel Bryan got eliminated, like the crowd was buzzing the whole night from like start to finish, or not even, I guess start to finish. But when Bryan got eliminated, it was like this collective air like flowing out of the arena, and like everybody was just like, "Oh no, Roman Reigns is going to win the Rumble." And I have nothing against Roman Reigns. It's just the whole way that this Rumble was booked to me just didn't make any sense, and I'm sure that's pretty much the majority opinion. And then when Roman came out, everybody was raining boos on him. And then okay, Ambrose came out, and Bray was still in the ring, and Ziggler came out. So like everybody knew none of those guys probably were going to win, but at least like we had people to cheer for.
Right.
And then one by one, they're eliminated within minutes. Like Ziggler must have lasted for a minute. Ambrose was in there for like 5 minutes. Bray got immediately eliminated when Big Show and Kane came out. And then The Rock, and then like pretty much everyone knew The Rock was coming out at some point, and then The Rock comes out, and like everyone goes nuts. Like initially, you hear The Rock's music, you freak out,
Right.
and Rock comes out, and everyone's raining down cheers, and then slowly you can almost feel the arena turn, because slowly everybody's like, "Oh no, he's only here so we don't boo Roman, boo Roman."
Right.
Everybody was just putting down boos. So. Yeah, there was a lot of. We ducked out of there really quick, like after the show was over. So like I didn't really get to see or hear of all the stuff that all these fans were doing. Because I heard about the fans like blockading the wrestlers but yeah, just being in the arena as Roman won, and I have like a cell phone, like a video I took my phone of him like posing in the ring afterwards, and it's just straight boos, no cheers at all, just total, just hatred that was raining down on him.
Well, like we said, it should have came down to like the big four. It should have been like Dolph and Bray and Dean and then Roman, and then it would have been like acceptable. But then they just did that Big Show Kane thing, and then that just sucked like you said, it sucked everything out of the arena when they just dumped him over the top rope.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest issue. Is they were, anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Eliminations this year. It's just like, oh, here you go, flop you right over. Daniel Bryan with just the kick out of nowhere from Bray. It was like, what's going on?
Although I have to say this, with Daniel Bryan being eliminated, it was the funniest thing when the first person right after he eliminated was Goldust with the shattered dreams on the Titantron behind him.
I didn't notice that, but wow, that
nice
is
little
very
Easter egg
ironic.
there.
We're going to switch gears a little bit here. We're going to talk real briefly here on the.
Well, you know what? Yeah, let's talk about. I thought you were going to go on to the next thing, but I think we should talk about the documentary a little bit and then talk about WrestleMania and stuff. Sorry,
jeez, Tony Pizza Guy.
I thought you were going to skip ahead to the other juicy stuff. We got to save that for later in the podcast.
We've got a diva on our hands here, but no, we're going to talk about Marks, which Frank, you said that you were going to take part in this Marks documentary, a documentary about professional wrestling fans.
Yes, I'm excited. It's going to be everything turns out the way that kind of you guys envisioned and everything. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah, and again, this was Tony's idea. He's had this idea. So, Tony, why don't you tell us a little bit about the idea behind Marks?
Well, the idea is obviously what you just said. It's the documentary about the wrestling fans, the biggest part of wrestling, I say. Without the fans, you couldn't have a match. I guess we did have that empty arena match, and we saw how that went without the fans, but... whether you love that or hate that. But we kind of want to tell another story along with that. We want to focus on superfan, Frank the Clown. We want to kind of learn about him. We talked a little bit about it on this podcast, but we want to dive deeper into you. We want to see your relationships with the wrestlers and your relationships with maybe family, friends, girlfriend, whatever it may be. We want to get all that in there. We want to just kind of see what happens at WrestleMania, and that's where we're going to start pretty much is WrestleMania. Just get that whole atmosphere of the granddaddy of them all, the biggest wrestling day, and see how that plays out. And that's a great way to start the movie, I think. It's just to show what wrestling fans are and how they all meet up at Access. Because if you're not a wrestling fan and you don't know, you're like, wait, these people go here and there's a huge week-long event. This is what wrestling's all about. And it's such a phenomenon for people that don't know about it.
And Frank, now you're considered a super fan. There's other super fans like Sign Guy and Brock Lesnar Guy. Are you good friends with them?
Yeah. Brock Lesnar Guy lives about 15 minutes from me, and we're going to the show together tonight, and he's pretty much one of my main kind of travel guys, just because we've known each other for 6-7 years, and I've known him way before he was the Brock Lesnar Guy. way before his star took off. But yeah, no, then like sign guy, like met him just via going to shows and stuff, and he was actually just texting me yesterday about NXT stuff too, ironically, and. Yeah, I mean, like it's just like there's like this weird clique of people that it's grown so much over the years, and I feel like partially responsible in a way for like kind of getting everybody to understand like how cool it is if you can do it to like kind of travel here and there and go to the shows and like meet new people and like kind of get in that inside view, like that inside without being on the actual inside of wrestling, like as close as you can, like that inside. You know, just kind of that viewpoint where people can like travel, like-minded people. You get to meet that all are, you know, super passionate about wrestling and, you know, going to the big shows and everything. And yeah, so like it's grown and grown over the years, and so many people that I know from like just around here, like there's a lot of very hardcore fans in Chicago, and then like East Coast people and West Coast, and then like I got a lot of friends overseas in like the UK that I only see once a year at WrestleMania. And I know people in like Scotland and like Ireland that all come out for WrestleMania, and it's just like WrestleMania is just this celebration of wrestling where everybody just comes from all around the world, and people that don't get it, like you guys kind of said, like that don't understand, like it's a week-long thing, like it's really a celebration of wrestling, and it's amazing to see all the different walks of life and everybody just totally just having the times of their lives, like just ever taking in everything, and just the electricity. Hopefully the electricity will be there for this WrestleMania, but in years past, it's always there, and it's awesome.
I still think there's a celebration. I mean, just last year, it's kind of ironic because, you know, doing this Marks documentary, and last year I really focused the video that I shot at Access on a lot of the fans, yourself included. I got WWE Superman on there. He's one of the fans from the
Yep.
UK, and from what I hear, he's coming to America now, so you probably see him in a lot of different shows. So it's just
he'll be around.
it's just awesome to see. I mean, these fans and how passionate. I love seeing like people from other countries with the flags on their back, and you just see everybody here, and they talk about it in the ring. They have like the ring set up at Access, and you just hear like different accents, and people just really taking pride in their country, and it's always great.
The one thing, and we don't want to give too much away about Frank the Clown, just because we want to save some stuff for the documentary. But one thing, and I don't know how much you can talk about this or whatever, but what some people may or may not know is you are somewhat dating Noelle Foley, Mick Foley's daughter.
Yes, this is true. You could take the somewhat out of there. It's we're an item, and I outkicked my coverage big time on that one.
Now,
so
how did
she's
that
great.
come about?
I don't want.
I don't want.
I don't want him to
detail.
tell the story.
But I mean,
Save that for the movie.
Okay.
Okay, I got a question then. Have you had any hate mail since dating Noelle?
Oh, like you wouldn't imagine. Oh gosh, you have no idea. And like I love it. Like I feel like I'm like a very polarizing figure to a lot of people, because a lot of people are, you know, sometimes, and I don't want to sound like narcissistic or anything, but a lot of people like would like to be in a position I am where I could travel around and meet all these people and like be afforded these opportunities I'm afforded sometimes, and I get a lot of flack for that, and I don't know if it's jealousy sometimes or whatnot, but I mean, I get a lot of that, and then yes, there's a lot of the stuff with Noelle where people are like, "There's no way Noelle can be with this guy. He dresses up as a clown. What is she thinking? I could have a chance with him."
Yeah, some of the stuff I've heard is like, how does this Mark get a hot girl like that, and he gets to travel around? He's more famous than some of the wrestlers. This is bullshit.
But yeah, like
It's
screw
like-
him. Like, how dare he? And yeah, so I mean, I've seen it all, and like, it's the internet, so nothing really bothers me at all.
Yeah.
And like, I embrace this kind of like,
So you would say you embrace the hate?
yeah, yeah, embrace the hate. Yeah,
You should make T-shirts that say that.
Right? Yeah, I know.
With a sad clown face on it.
Like-
Embrace the hate.
Right, and like that's another thing. Like I had T-shirts put out by Barbershop Window, and like they approached me, and they thought they could make money on it, and they thought we could do a little partnership, and I was like, of course, I'm not going to turn away money when it falls in my lap. And I thought it was awesome to have a T-shirt. Like I wanted to do it for a while, anyways, but I didn't want to like. I have like this weird thing where like I don't want to act like something I'm not. So like I don't know if I necessarily deserved a T-shirt by any means. And but again, if I'm not going to turn away money when it's sitting in my lap. So I was like, sure, let's do it. Let's do T-shirts. And like people were like, how dare he have a T-shirt? He's a fan. Why does a fan have a T-shirt?
Well, that's
And I'm like,
that's the biggest thing I see about it is like if people get mad about that, don't buy the T-shirt.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
don't follow me. Don't buy the T-shirts. Block me so you don't have to see my tweets if you hate me that much. And like, I see a lot of stuff, and like even when people don't mention me in tweets, stuff still pops in my timeline, or people will text me like, "Look at this," and I embrace this like heel role I'm in, and I always thought that like, and I've looked into possibly getting in the wrestling business, doing something. I think I could be one of the greatest heel personalities of all time because I have this uncanny ability. Although I sound like a very nice guy and I come off that way, and I am. I like to think I'm a nice guy. I feel like I can really get people to hate me just in the wrestling world really easily because I could just shove these things down their throats and like in a wrestling character way that they would just hate. Let's
do it. Like right now, we want you to have your heel turn right now for the rest of this podcast with us.
I will do it. Absolutely. I've been waiting to unleash upon everyone.
Well, I'd say I think you're at that point where I think you could have T-shirts. I mean, I want to get one. I will get one. Are you bringing them with you to Mania?
I actually was going to send out an email like the other day. I was like, I might bring a couple and pedal them off outside of WrestleMania at a table. No, I was gonna. No, I actually might bring a couple. If you're interested, then I got one with your name on.
You could have a table at WrestleCon right next to Virgil.
I don't know whose line will be shorter.
Well, no, we are definitely we're looking forward to meeting you out at Mania and following you around for a little bit and like anytime.
Not like following you around creepily, like with your permission and cameras.
I'm following you around creepily. Like if you go to take a crap, I'm going to be right there with you with the camera.
He'll see him.
I'll show you my techniques and everything.
Well, we got you here for a little bit longer. Let's get off the subject of Marks here and let's move. Let me ask Tony. Are we okay to move on?
Well, I don't want to talk about NXT. Are you excited about NXT at WrestleMania since it'll be the I think you said it's the first NXT you're going to be going to?
Yeah, I'm stoked. I'm so stoked. I can't wait. And the crowd's going to be awesome because it's all the WrestleMania fans. So it's going to be great.
I think it was super exciting. I was trying to get tickets for it yesterday, and I was on their pre-sale thing trying to buy them, and I actually got like a pair of 2 because I couldn't get any more than 2 at one point. Then I got a pair of 3, and then I was like, well, let me try for 5, and then I got a pair of 5. So now I have 10 tickets that I don't need, but it's exciting. Like I feel like I was more hyped like buying those tickets than I am for the entire WrestleMania.
Right.
Yeah, in a weird way, I kind of feel the same. It's a new experience. And I love new experiences, and like I said, going back to the atmosphere thing, the atmosphere is going to be it's going to rule, and it's going to be a very personal kind of event where it's going to be a smaller venue. There's not going to be as many people, but the people that are there are going to make up for like what it would be like at a Raw with like 20,000 people,
right?
And everybody's turned on to these stars live for the first time, so everybody's going to be going wild, and I'm sure like all those guys are going to go out there with the chip on their shoulder to prove like. To all those people that haven't seen them live before, like, hey, you've seen us on TV, but here's what we can do live in person, and this is what you're going to be seeing for the next 5 to 10 years.
Well, that's essentially going to be their WrestleMania, I think, the NXT roster. And I mean, I'm looking forward to going to that. And it's such a late show. Doesn't it start at like 10:30?
I think it's like 10 p.m., isn't it?
Yeah,
right?
It's like very.
It's such a great way to start off the weekend, though. I'll say for WrestleMania to do that, and then lead into the Saturday, which is the Hall of Fame, and then lead into the Sunday WrestleMania, then the Monday with the Raw. So it's gonna be awesome.
I'm totally excited because this is my first time going to Mania. I'm getting my Mania cherry popped, and awesome. I mean, the closer we get, the more excited I get. Like when we first were talking about it, I mean, it's after talking to like Tony and Logan, and now you, Frank, about the experience. I mean. I'm just super excited for this, and now thanks to you guys, I'll probably be at every Mania from here on out.
Once you had it once, I mean, you can't stop.
Yeah,
stop going.
It's like Pringles.
This is 6 for me, number 6 in a row for me. So I'm getting
up
there.
Not 6 in a row. This is 3 for me. I went to the one in Chicago, and then last year, and then this year will be mine. But it'll be a fun time. I'm so excited, and I mean, like last year I went to all the WrestleCon stuff, so it'll be a nice change to go to the Access stuff this year.
Well, and then I'm also excited. We were even talking about going to the Raw the night after Mania, which to me is like one of the best Raws of the year. The crowd is so hyped at the Raw right after Mania. So pretty stoked about that.
It's going to be a exciting Raw. What is your take on? I guess I'll ask you this right now. What is your take, Frank, on wrestling chants? Because a lot of people say NXT, there's too many wrestling chants. There's wrestling chants are too much, and same with that Raw after WrestleMania. There's a lot of chants. Are you a fan of those chants? Do you think they're too much often, or what do you think?
I love chants. Like I love chanting ridiculous things with wrestling. The NXT, it seems like the crowd is trying to like get themselves over sometimes a little bit more, and it kind of takes away from maybe what's going on in the ring. But for the most part, like I'm on board with the chants, and like the Raw after Mania, the chants that happen for the most part are like pretty relevant to what's going on in the ring, aside from that Randy Orton Sheamus match like 2 years ago. Where they just started chanting everything, and like everybody was having the time of their lives though. Like I was there, and like I was chanting along like cotton candy, clap, 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 and like ice cream guy, and like just everybody was going wild, and there was just something that really hasn't been like seen like that before, where like the crowd just didn't care that two of WWE's biggest stars were in the ring wrestling, but nobody cared. Because they bore us or whatever for whatever reason, and they just decided to take it upon themselves to just chant at anything that moved, and it was made for like one of the coolest moments that I know I'll never forget. So yeah, no, I'm totally on board with the chants, and I look forward to it just because there's just such ridiculous things that go on.
We should try to get a Dubs the Clown chant going. We'll bring signs that say we want Dubs the Clown.
He would slowly rise off his couch at home and be like, I can't believe what's happening. What am I hearing?
You know, since we have like the whole row of seats at NXT, we'll get like the Ric Flair woo signs that say Dubs. It'll take up the whole row.
Oh, we should so do this.
Dubs with a Z. You have to do it with a Z at the end.
We're gonna do it.
That'll be great.
Now let's talk real quick here too. We kind of skipped this, but you've traveled a lot. You've got to have some road stories. What are some interesting stories that you can tell us?
Oh man, that's a tough question because it's hard to pinpoint one. Maybe I'll go back to the first ever show I went to with Dubs. It was like we were in high school at the time, and we called ourselves out. We went to school for like half the day. And then we just called each other out of school, like as if we were each other's parents. left class, and
did you get away with it? By the way, I gotta ask: did they ever find out that it wasn't your parents calling you out of school?
And the powers that be, like the principals, like all the kids knew because like we were like posting on Facebook and stuff. And so we got in my car, and I have a Monte Carlo. It's still the same car from then, and my Monte Carlo has like these just ridiculous rims on it. I have like 22-inch rims on it, just like completely unnecessary things. Yeah. And so we got on the road to go to Grand Rapids, 2.5 hour drive, I'd say. And we left with like plenty of time to spare, just in case anything were to go wrong. And sure enough, we're driving down the highway. I want to say we're halfway in the middle of Chicago and Grand Rapids. And all of a sudden I hear like a bump, 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 bump. And I'm like, oh, what's that? And Dubs is in the passenger seat. He's like, I don't know. He's like, well, just get off at this exit. Get off at the exit, of course, like flat tire. And I'm like, oh, excellent. Like, I have now 3 22-inch rims, and I have like a donut in the back, which is probably like 12 inches. And but what the thing was with my rims is that they were like the lug nuts were like impacted on, so like they were literally almost impossible to get off, to pull off with any normal, wrench or anything, lug nut loosener. So we were in the middle of nowhere, and we pulled off at this street. I'll never forget it. It was Hagershore Road, and a lot of people were pulling down the street, like trying to help us. So this old man, this like white station wagon pulls up. This old man gets out of the car. Nice old man. He's like, "You boys need some help?" And we're like, "Yeah, we got a flat here." He's like, "Okay, I got an air compressor at home. I'll be home and I'll be back in like 15 minutes. Don't worry, I'm gonna come back for you. I just gotta let my wife know that I'm going to be running a little late." We're like, great. Oh, what a wonderful old man. So
I'm going to tell you right now, this sounds like a horror story right now.
Right, yeah. It will,
a horror movie.
It could have been. So eventually, he's like, there's a mechanic shop right down the street. He's like, do you think your car can make it there? And I was like, hey, I'll give it a go. And I didn't think it would, but I tried. Terrible idea. I like ended up just driving straight on my rim because my wheels were so thin, the tires, that I just drove like straight on my rim, bent the rim. It was destroyed. So I pulled off on like an overpass that was like over the highway. And it was like 98 degrees out. It was so hot, and like mosquitoes were biting us, I remember, and it was just terrible. And then we ended up so needless to say, this old man never returned. And then like people pulled, nobody was like helping us. Like we didn't know what to do. So like, I'm like, oh my God, like what are we going to do? Like we can't take a cab there. It'd be like hundreds of dollars. That doesn't solve what I'm supposed to do with my car. So I'm sorry if this story's running long. And so this red pickup truck pulls up on the side of the road. And this story's really in a nutshell. But now I'm getting my story screwed up. I actually got in the car with the old man before he left. I volunteered to go with the old man. I left Doves behind on the side of the road. And the old man drove me to the mechanic shop because he said the mechanic's name was Skip. And Skip will always be able to help you out. That's what he said. So we pulled to like the back of this mechanic shop. And this town has had like 400 people in it. And he's like knocking on the garage and nobody's answering. He's like, okay, well, here's Skip's number. You call him. I'll be back. So that's when he left. Call Skip, no answer. I call him again, no answer. I'm like, oh, what a great mechanic. And so then we're just sitting on the side of the road. We're really running out of options. I call him one more time. I answer, and I'm like, and he's like, this is Skip. And I'm like, Skip, this is, so-and-so. I'm stuck on this side of the road, and we need help. He's like, what? I can't help you. And I'm like, I just have a flat tire. And he's like, I can't help you. I'm in the hospital. I'm like, okay, buddy. And he's like, well, I'll call you back. I'll see what I can do. I'll see if I get a driver out there. I'm like, okay. 20 minutes, 30 minutes goes by. No call back. So I call him back. I'm like, hello? He's like, yeah. I'm like, this is the guy. He's like, who's this? I haven't talked to anyone. Like, just like rambling. I'm like, okay, so whatever. I give up on Skip. Long story short, at the end, this red pickup truck pulls up. It was his father and son. They were named Rick and Ricky Jr., and they were angels from the heavens above. And they were like, okay, we got our screws and nuts and bolts at home, and we'll get your side guy stuff. We didn't trust anybody in this town at this point. And we're like, oh, screw these guys. They're never going to come back. And they were like these real hillbilly guys that like, were in their wife beaters and like they're real tan and like chewing on corn stems. And so eventually 20 minutes later, they come back. They fix the tire for us. We get the donut on the car. They're like, if you guys would have got off at one more exit before us, he's like, you guys would have been some real deep shit. He's like, it is a real bad town there. He's like, if y'all need a place to crash tonight, you come crash with us. He's like, we'll park your car on my dad's lawn. And he's like, ain't nobody going to mess with my pa. He's like, because if somebody comes up on us, he's like, he going to run up there with his sawed-off shotgun. He'll just put a bullet in their head. And we're like, okay, great, thank you. And got in the road. We didn't say a word to each other the rest of the way there. We had the radio down because we were so scared that like we were going to hear a weird noise in the car. So I'm riding on a 22-inch rim on each of the driver's sides, and then a little donuts on the front passenger side, and then another big rim on the back. But needless to say, we made it to Grand Rapids, Michigan with like 15 minutes to spare. Got put on our clown stuff for the first time ever, and we had a hell of a time at the show, and we drove all the way back on that donut, and it was like storming and raining out, and my car had like tons of damage because like when we were trying to fix it, we had the car jack up the car. The jack fell out from under the car, and like the axle crashed on the ground, and it was just complete chaos. And yeah, so that set the tone for things to come for me, just pure chaos. So apologies for that story being super long. There's so much detail that can go into it, but that's the nuts and bolts of it.
I was going to ask you, how different do you think that story would be if you guys were already in your clown gear and stuff?
I know.
That's what I imagined. I imagined before the end. I just imagined you were in the clown outfit the whole time.
I know that should have been the kicker at the end, and we thought about it too. Like we thought about like leaving school and putting on our stuff right away and just driving because it would be funny if we drove his car and we drove his clowns. And
I want to take that story and do like an animated version. Like have someone animate that story, and I'll just leave out the part where you say you weren't in the clown outfits.
Right. Yeah,
and then it's you in clown outfits going into like the backwoods of some weird place in a red pickup truck and trying to get your tire fixed.
That'd be awesome for Marks.
That was. So that's an interesting story. If that was me, I would have been scared. I probably would have never went to another wrestling event because. No.
Right.
Should we got a little bit more time? Should we kind of talk about the WrestleMania card with him before we let him go?
Let's do it.
Do a rundown. We've been talking with our guests lately about the WrestleMania card.
Let's do
Okay.
it. Let's
We'll start off with I guess your choice of what you think is going to be match of the night and the outcome of that. So what match are you most looking forward to on the card?
Sting and Triple H, just for the nostalgic effect on it. Sting was one of my favorites growing up, and I never thought I would see him in a WWE ring. Just thought that the ship sailed too many times, and now it's finally happening. I don't know necessarily if it'll be the best wrestling match of the night, but the spectacle it's going to go into it, the entrances, just seeing Sting in a ring wrestling Triple H, and I'm thinking he's probably going to get the W. Is going to be something I'll never forget and something I never would have expected. So that's really what the price of admission's worth to me. So that's the one I'm looking forward to the most.
like you had said, the thing I'm looking forward to most about that match is the entrances. I mean,
Yeah.
like, I don't. This match 10 years ago would have been a selling point to me, but I think once that bell rings, I just don't know about Sting if he has anything left in him to put on a classic match. But I'm hoping the end is Sting. I think he is going to get the victory, and I'm hoping that the bell dongs and it sets up for him and Undertaker next year for Mania.
Fantasy booking.
Yes. I'm hoping either the Mania or the Raw after Mania, they do some sort of tease for that.
There's an extra call for scarecrows, I heard, for
I saw
WrestleMania
that,
for Sting.
yeah.
I wonder if that's for Bray or for Sting. Either or. So
I don't know. That'll be interesting to see though. Their entrance is going to be top notch. I don't think Sting will come down from the rafters. I don't think
there's no roof.
I know, but helicopter. You ever seen that? Did you ever see that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
That
I
was-
think they're gonna have like a huge like. Sting's gonna have to walk all that way, and by the time he gets to the ring, he's gonna be like.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, Sting can still hang. He had some good matches with Bully Ray and EC3. If you guys ever watched TNA, anybody? Probably not. But he did it. He got. I remember there was one match where he did a. I showed you the GIF of it, or the GIF, I guess.
Yeah.
It was. He did a whatever that death drop is. That what it's called? The Scorpion death.
Deathlock.
He did the drop and then
Drop.
hit his head on the back of his head on a chair, and that's how he
did
lost the
show me
match.
That was actually kind of an innovative
He
way
was
to
fighting
lose
Bobby
a match.
Roode, and then one other thing that happened that I remember TNA is when he got pile drive by Bully Ray on the. They pulled the ring mat up and he pile drive him on the board, so that was kind of cool. But we'll see if he can have a good match again. It's interesting the way they like fantasize these dream matches that we never really wanted to see, but they call them dream matches. You know,
Right.
like Sting versus Triple H is like the last dream match I ever thought of. Thinking about Sting, but. What do you think is going to happen if Sting beats Triple H? Is the WWE going to go under like Triple H says, or what? What's that story?
It's such a weird story they're trying to tell because like they're making it seem like it's WCW versus WWE, and really the fans should be rooting for WWE. 'Cause
Right.
Triple H is like, I'll do anything for the WWE, and you would think like, oh, that's going to get a rise out of the crowd, like a pop. But the way he's spinning it off is like it's all about him in a way and everything. But yeah, the WWE's going to fold, and there's going to be no Raw after WrestleMania, and TNA's going to take over as the number one company, and we're all just going to be watching that on Thursday night.
The only position I think they're going with, if they're going to do this and they're going to have Sting beat Triple H and Triple H is going to be on the out, they're going to make Sting GM of Raw or something like that. That's what I could possibly see with.
Sting as a GM, that would be terrible. Terrible idea, I think.
I mean, that's what people were predicting when he was first coming in, that he was going to be like a GM or something like that. I mean, if they're going to, I guess, are they going to try and take Triple H out of the authority figure again? I don't know. It's a weird setup going on here.
I guess
Yeah,
that could be a good setup. Like that's how Triple H falls out of power again. I don't know.
I'm like this crazy WWE has kind of stripped away parts of Sting from my childhood that I wanted to see. They took away his original theme music, which I hope they bring back for Mania. They wanted WWE brand everything. They call him the vigilante and stuff. I
Yeah.
understand that, and I don't want to see him talk. So I don't want to see him in a
Right.
GM role. I wanted to see him be the quiet Black Crow, Sting that just wreaked havoc silently. And then like we saw that promo on Monday with like the distorted voice, and I'm like, oh god.
Yeah, that was
no.
weird. Was that them like WWEizing his voice? Because we've heard him
Yeah.
talk before. Like,
Yeah, I didn't know if they were trying to insult our intelligence or if they were just like trying to make him sound tougher. I really don't know the reasoning that, because like, people sat down in a room and were like, they agreed upon changing his voice for whatever reason. I don't know what that reason is.
and that's one of the things where Sting held off so long so WWE didn't ruin his like career. That's why he didn't want to come, because he thought WWE would ruin it. And like, it's like happening before our eyes. They're like, they changed your music, they changed your voice, they changed your name. It's like, come on, just you're ruining everything about Sting that I
Give us
love.
Sting.
Like his music was so iconic. Why could they not use that music? Now
Like,
I hear his music, I don't even know who's coming out.
Right.
Right. And like I tweeted this not too long ago, and they should have like this live orchestra playing Sting to the ring with his old theme song with like the violins and stuff.
Like they did for
commercial.
for that 2K
Yes.
commercial. That was great.
That would be incredible. And like do like a light show in the sky, or like do something with fireworks and whatever. And like it would be like you have this only happens once. Sting's first match in the WWE at WrestleMania only happens once. So they should be doing everything in their power to make it the most memorable, historic, and just incredible entrance and match and whatever they can. And I have faith that they can do it. I just want to see that damn theme music back.
What's gonna make it for me is when Bret Hart comes out and rings the bell. When he puts him in the Scorpion Deathlock.
And like Nick Patrick comes out and does a fast 3 count or whatever. Or like,
and then Bret goes, I said it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Or whatever Bret Hart said at Starrcade. That was great. WCW ruins everything.
Yeah.
Let's discuss the main event.
Brock and Roman Reigns. Your take, Frank?
It's not obviously the most desirable main event we want to see. I don't know if it'll necessarily close the show either, because I think they might be a little afraid of the reaction. It would make sense if it did, but I could see it maybe not closing the show. But you know what? I'm just accepting of it now, and I don't doubt it's going to be a pretty good match. It's going to be a brawl, and I really don't know what the outcome is going to be. I don't know, because I don't know what Brock's plan is post-Mania, and I think that he's already I think he's already signed an extension, and they're using this. They're kind of the thing is they're turning the storyline into it's about Brock. It's supposed to be about Roman, but it's about Brock and what is he going to do? What's his future? Is he going to go to UFC? I like how they're kind of blurring the lines there. But I don't know what the outcome is really going to be. Maybe I'm overthinking it, and like Roman's just going to Superman punch, spear, and win, and like that'll be it, and everybody will just be like, oh, okay, well. Why are we surprised? But I think that they're going to probably try to do a couple swerves at the end. Like, I don't know if they're going to try, because everybody's going to be cheering for Brock. So I don't know if they're going to try to play off that, or like if they're going to do something with Seth. So I really don't know if I have a good prediction. I just assume Roman's going to walk out the title one way or another. But I wouldn't be surprised if Brock does. And if Brock does, then you would assume that he's signed some sort of extension. But if he's already signed the extension, like I think, then yeah, he probably has to win just to, because he's such a beast and they kind of want to build it up more. But
yeah, the way I see it, they would be stupid not to get Brock. They should have signed Brock like a long time ago. My thought is that they probably already did sign Brock, like you said, and then they're just like, hey, how about you go to UFC and let's see what we can create with controversy, and kind of like it's probably like Triple H's idea, because he's kind of one of those smart, he's got his finger on the pulse right now, so I think we can hope that this is the way they're going, where they're like, yeah, let's send him to UFC. We'll put in the buzz that he's going back to UFC. So then people will wonder, well, is Roman going to win? Is Brock going to win? I mean, that's the only way that you can create buzz about like if Roman Reigns could possibly lose based off of like what Brock Lesnar's doing. So we can hope that that's what they're going for. But like you said, there's probably going to be some crazy swerves with Seth coming out. I mean, they could do that thing where Seth is trying to cash in and then Roman spears him, and I don't know, some weird thing like that, and Brock gets the win. I don't know how they could do it, but there's going to be some controversy, I'm sure.
Yeah, safe bet is there going to be a lot of spears and a lot of Superman punches.
Right.
But we do know they're going to make Roman look strong. I'm sure they have to. They're going to make him the guy.
After all this time, he's going to look hella strong.
Do you think it's Roman's time? Do you think he should be champion?
I think it's too soon, personally. And they really are. They have to be careful, because they can really ruin his career, because things like that. Things should happen in wrestling organically, like with Punk and Bryan, even like guys like Zack Ryder and Cesaro and stuff. And then as soon as WWE gets their hands on things, they just ruin it. It seems like so much. And now they're just really shoving Roman down their throats so much. And that's when the crowd rejects things. If you were to let Roman rise kind of organically, and then, like, for instance, put him in a match with Rusev at WrestleMania this year, and when he came back from his injury, you don't have to have him win the Rumble. Have him go against Rusev and beat Rusev and give Rusev his first loss, and that'd be a good first singles match at Mania for Roman, and then build him up all throughout the year. And the crowd probably wouldn't turn on him the way they did And then like WrestleMania 32, if you want to have the big Roman moment, have him go against Cena. He would get cheered against Cena and have like that unofficial passing of the torch. But I think they knew when Brock broke the streak last year that they were going to have Roman beat Brock at Mania this year. I think they already had that loose plan set up in their minds, and Vince probably figured, well, you know what, people, you got your WrestleMania with Daniel Bryan, and now I'm going to get my WrestleMania.
I think the biggest problem about it is when they made Roman Reigns Superstar of the Year. I think that's when fans were like, okay, this is bullshit right now. We can see it from a mile away. He is not Superstar of the Year. He was gone for like half the year.
He didn't wrestle any like singles matches on pay-per-view. He wrestled Orton once, and that was like it.
So when they gave him Superstar of the Year, that's when I think we all were like, okay, this is WWE shoving it down our throats right now. It's like fans are smart now. We can understand that. We know when like it's organic, like you said, with Daniel Bryan or CM Punk. And I don't know that Daniel Bryan is right for the main event this year again, but I don't think Roman Reigns is right. Who, if you had to pick, like who would be the guy? I still say, my opinion is Seth. Just of his whole year last year is like he is the guy that should be main eventing this year. But what's your take on who should be in the main event?
I was a big advocate for Bryan versus Brock, and because the story to me made sense that the uncrowned champion, Bryan, who had to relinquish his title, is coming back to win his title from the beast that is unbeaten, that can't be stopped by John Cena, The Undertaker, Seth Rollins, he can't be stopped. So it would have made in like a David versus Goliath kind of thing, and the crowd would have got way behind Bryan. And it would have been an awesome knockdown, drag him out match that Bryan has said in interviews like he thought it could be one of the best, most unique matches ever. And you don't even have to have Bryan win that match. That's the thing. And I don't even think the crowd would be like, oh my God, this is terrible if Bryan lost, if it was an awesome match and an awesome story was told. And just the interactions with Heyman and Bryan, because Heyman and Bryan really haven't had any interactions in WWE, really major ones. And I think there could have been so much stuff they did there. And it just made sense where, like I said, Bryan going back to win the title he never lost from the current champion who seemingly cannot lose. I thought that just made too much sense. And then you could have did like a Shield triple threat, or you could have got the blow off with Rollins and Ambrose, which their story hasn't shut yet. I thought that would have made sense. And then you could have had, and even if you didn't even want to do Roman and Brock or Bryan and Brock, you could have did Brock and Roman for a non-title, and then had like Bryan versus Cena in a rematch that they never got main event Mania. So there was so many different options they could have did with Bryan and the championship and everything. And I understand maybe they didn't want to like throw him into the main event just for this fan's sake, like 2 years in a row. I get that, but the stories would have made more sense and probably been more entertaining had they went those routes.
I think it would have made the most sense. I think we talked about it a little bit on another podcast, but it would have made more sense if Bryan would have showed up after the Rumble.
Yeah.
When Roman won, and then it would have been like, hey, you can't go to Mania. I still have my title shot. And that would have made more sense. They could have even done like a triple threat at Mania, which I don't know if they really want to just throw Daniel Bryan in another triple threat again, but it would have made more sense if they would have kept him off the Rumble, and then he comes back and says, hey, I never lost my title.
That would have had a more little intrigue in the Fastlane match, too. Mm-hmm. Like, he comes back and says, no, you can't have that. I haven't gotten my rematch or whatever. They had their Fastlane and whatever.
And then they do whatever. But, yeah, that story is cool, and I never thought about the whole Paul Heyman, Daniel Bryan thing. That would have been great back and forth, especially Daniel Bryan doing yes in Paul Heyman's face.
So,
right.
If Daniel Bryan wins the IC title at WrestleMania, do you think the fans will accept that?
Yeah, they'll accept it. I'm part of this group where, like, I feel like sometimes I tweet stuff out and, like, I hate myself after because I'm like, oh, I'm bashing the product so much and I shouldn't be bashing the product. But then I'm like, damn it, I'm spending money on this product. I can say whatever the hell I want.
Right.
But it's kind of a shame that debatably that your most popular superstar you have is going to probably be in the opening match at WrestleMania. I think the match is going to be awesome because everybody in that match has got a chip on their shoulder, and they all want to go out with that they all share that common mindset, like we're going to steal the show, screw the powers, screw the authority, screw the the actual real life authority, like screw them, we're going to put on a show. So if he wins it, I don't know if he'll win it. I don't know. I really have no idea who's going to win that match. I think I would like to see Ambrose win it because like he does, Seth gets the singles match and Roman's in the main event, and Ambrose just gets. He had the most momentum out of anyone, coming out of at the Shield with Rollins and stuff. Like him and Rollins were on that same path, and Ambrose was getting like the biggest reactions when Bryan was hurt and stuff, and Cena wasn't around, or Cena was messing around with Brock and all that. And it's kind of a shame to see him get thrown in there too. So I would like to see him get that WrestleMania moments when his other two guys are going to get the singles matches too. But yeah, I mean, Bryan, I don't know if they're really trying to bring the prestige back to the IC title so much as they're trying to just throw a match together with a bunch of guys they don't know what to do with.
So they're trying to say that it's prestigious, but it's really not prestigious. Like,
right.
So yeah, but
it depends what they do after Mania with the title. That'll determine, how they value it and how they book it.
In my mind, I'd love to think they're going to give that title to Bryan, and then they're going to give the U.S. title to Cena, and then they're going to have like these two prestigious mid-card titles that mean something because they have these two big guys who main evented WrestleMania before, and then you could have, I don't know, Brock still being dominant in the main event. That's the way I would like to think they're going, but who knows where they're going to go with it.
Yeah, because it's not always about the title itself. It's about who holds the title. It's about who the man makes the championship sometimes. And so I assume Cena's going to beat Rusev at WrestleMania. He's going to win the U.S. title, which is so weird to say. Like, Cena's going to win the U.S. title at WrestleMania. But, yeah, I mean, it would be a really cool dynamic, and they could even go as far as, like, unifying the titles at some point with Bryan and Cena if they wanted to do that.
Hey, there you go. Bring back some, like, I don't know, what television title? No, probably not. But they'll just unify it, and that would be kind of cool. I'd like that match.
Yeah, and it's just if they do it like that, where they really push that, like, okay, these titles mean something. Yeah, we got our big stars holding them. Then people take it more seriously. But if R-Truth walks out the title at WrestleMania and then is defending against Fandango on main event, and like
as long as R-Truth can shimmy across after the pay-per-view with the IC title, I'll be okay with that.
I love that.
That was the greatest thing ever. I died watching that pay-per-view with like Bray Wyatt and Sister Abigail, and then R-Truth comes by, and I'm like, what the hell is this? That's still one of my favorite moments in all of WWE history, probably.
Well, you mentioned Bray Wyatt. Let's talk about Bray Wyatt and The Undertaker.
Well, let's hit on this fact right now. Undertaker's, they said it on SmackDown, Undertaker's next time you'll see him in person is at WrestleMania. First off, do you think that's good or bad? Anybody on the table as well?
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think it adds like to the mystique of the Undertaker because you don't know how he's going to look, and there's all these reports online like he looks terrible.
Right.
He looks like he could barely walk. I'm thinking, this man would not be taking a match if he was in that horrible of shape. So I'm sure he's going to look like a badass, and he's going to have like a new jacket. And he's going to look awesome. It's going to be an awesome entrance, and I'm sure Undertaker, more than maybe anybody on the card, feels like he has something to prove because the match with Brock last year wasn't all that great. People are questioning whether he's done or not. I'm sure he wants to go out there and just kill it. And I'm sure he wants to make Bray look like $1 million too. So right. I think that it's going to be a hell of a match. I think it's going to take people by surprise.
Well, the thing with The Undertaker is he's one of maybe the only superstars that does not have to be at the arena to be there because they have so many special effects with like the lights and the fog and all that stuff. So I think it's kind of neat.
It was really cool when the chair got struck by lightning and got set on fire. That was really cool.
It's cool on TV. It's not cool when you're there live because you can see him like changing out the chair.
The big question I have is what was with Undertaker's voice? It sounded like they took a sound clip from an old WrestleMania, or they had him like record it through a cell phone when he's like. It seemed very weird, and like they're doing a lot of weird things. Like even go back to like that fake Sting that was in the ring with the wig. Like that was weird too.
Yeah, that voiceover with the Taker thing was as soon as they did that, I'm like, that's weird. And then like they had the graphic, which looked like it was made by like a 13-year-old sixth grader.
Needs to talk to Sting's editor.
Yeah, exactly.
Sting edits his own videos, by the way.
Yeah,
we're meant to believe that.
Are pros on like iMovie, and they produce. That's why they're not on TV because they're spending so much time in their office making these videos.
It was probably Michelle McCool or whatever. Editing Taker's thing.
They're down in their basement recording it.
Yeah, and in that graphic, it said "The Man Comes Around," which is actually an old Johnny Cash song. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the song, but it's a very upbeat song. Like, I don't know if they're going to, use that at all in any build-up, but it's not Undertaker-esque. And I like. I'm a sucker for the special effects, even though like they're sometimes really cheesy. Like I like that supernatural kind of stuff. So if they keep doing that the next 2 weeks, awesome. Uh,
It'll remind me of the WrestleMania 20 build-up with Kane when they did that every week.
Oh yeah,
That was really
Yeah.
cool.
That was
They
nice.
had the ring like shake one week,
they had to, like levitate.
and I remember they came to like Omaha, and they didn't do anything cool. And I was like, oh man,
I was so
everywhere else they
disappointed.
went,
I remember
it was
that,
cool,
too.
but
We were all
Omaha they
pissed
didn't do
off.
anything.
they're like,
I like how
we'll
that's our
we'll stay
excitement for that
Chicago next
Raw.
week, or,
Our excitement for Raw is what they do with the Undertaker.
We're forgetting the fact that Raw was when Vince and Eric Bischoff fought for the first time ever.
I know it's like the coolest moment ever, but we were all bummed out about Taker not doing anything cool.
Well, my hopes is that Bray wins, but unfortunately, if they're planning on having Undertaker Sting next year for Mania, they got to make Undertaker go over and look strong. So,
yeah.
but I'm hoping if Bray does win or lose, whatever, I hope there's some kind of symbolic gesture Undertaker does to him to kind of like he's passing the torch onto the new dead man.
That's what I say. I say they give him the urn and he keeps the urn, but I don't know. It'll be interesting. It's very hard to call because, like you said, you kind of want to make Undertaker look strong, but then again, you kind of want to make him maybe he can look weak going into his match with Sting, and then I don't know.
I don't know. I as much as that match sounds cool, looks good on paper, Sting and Undertaker, I just
Do you think that's the direction they're going, Frank? Do you think they're going for Sting and Taker at the next year's Mania to try and do that attendance record thing?
Yeah, I mean, it would be foolish kind of not to, because like really, if you don't do it next year, I thought if you don't do it this year, you can't do it. But now, if they're both wrestling this year, then okay. If you don't do it next year, then you can never do it. Like then that ship sailed. And it makes sense because it's in Texas, and I know Sting and Taker both live in Texas, and I think it just everybody wants to see it regardless. Like some people are like, oh, they're too old. I want to see that. I would have seen that in 2000. Screw that. I want to see it now. Okay, like whoever says that now, come on. If Sting and Taker are facing off in the ring, you never thought you would see that. You're gonna be going nuts. Like that's like the biggest dream match that never happened. That's a true dream match. So it just makes too much sense. Like the money's there for it. They have them both in the company. They both, Sting has said in many interviews he wants Taker. He wants Taker. I'm sure Taker wants Sting, and I'm sure Sting had no problem losing to Taker if that's the case. He gets his win this year, and then that could be both their final match, and they can do some sort of mutual send-off with each other, like in the ring at Mania, and I don't know, shake hands or do the lights go out and they're gone, and there could be like a
helicopter
ring.
lowers a rope and they both just like
Fly
get
off
lifted
and
off.
Right, yeah.
together.
Or they could do
Yeah,
one
they
of
just
those
both fly away.
the WCW Inferno match or what was that match called? Where they
Human Torch match.
Yeah, they'll do a Human Torch match at Mania, and then the stunt
Yeah.
double will come back and fall off.
Yeah.
I think they should do a casket match at Mania for them too. That'd be cool.
Just something where
You could play that gimmick up, and it'd be a lot easier to wrestle with like they could gimmick, like casket's a lot easier to work with, so they don't have to take so much crazy moves and stuff.
Buried alive.
There you go.
right,
And
and they both get buried alive.
he puts
Right.
Sting in
You know?
there, and then he puts him down, and then Kane comes out, and then Vampiro comes out too, and they just both
Right,
bury
yeah.
them both, and then
Boogeyman.
Okay, now we're getting
Damian
ahead of
Vampiro
Vampiro just says brother a lot.
Yeah,
For any
Right.
of you that watch Lucha Underground, that's all he says is brother.
brother. Well, Frank, I mean, how much time do you have left here?
As long as you need me, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere right now.
Okay, well,
I mean, we were going to have you on for an hour, but do you want to finish the whole podcast then?
We go 2 hours, so we got about
we
half
got
hour?
40 minutes left.
40 minutes left.
Or we could cut it here.
Let's
Let's cut the umbilical cord.
Don't say that.
could we do a little bit more? Maybe not 40. We do like 20, or is that?
Yeah, we can do it.
Am I
Let's
cramping your guys'
fi-
style?
No, let's finish talking about WrestleMania here.
Okay.
We have the Battle Royale, the Andre Memorial Annual Battle Royale, because it's annual now. What's your take on this Battle Royale?
I mean, I like battle royals, but it's just a way to get everybody that's not on the card onto the card. And it's like, and the thing that doesn't make sense to me is like, why are Miz and Miz down in the battle royal? They should be getting a little match, at least a couple minute match at Mania. They deserve that, and then they're going to be thrown to the battle royal, and it's
It's the same thing with Gold and Stardust when they're in the.
That just abruptly
Aren't they in
ended.
the ladder match?
No, Goldust isn't even in the ladder
Yeah.
match. What they're saying.
Oh, really?
They just abruptly ended it.
Okay.
Like that could have been a great send off for Goldust because I'm assuming his career is winding down, but him versus Stardust, that would have been at Mania.
And like you said, the way to do that one would be to have
Dusty Rhodes as the special guest referee.
and he'd have to count the fall for Goldust, and it'd be so much drama and intensity in there. That would be great. So, so about this Andre Memorial Battle Royale trophy, what does this trophy mean to you as far as like? I don't really know what
He's
it means.
laughing already. That's not a good sign.
Well, they didn't do a good job starting it off last year with Cesaro breaking it.
No, they did. It did start off good by having Cesaro win it, but it was what they did following that they just, I don't know, it just kind of pooped all over the whole concept behind it.
Yeah, that was great because I did not think Cesaro was going to win that, and then when he took Big Show over, it was amazing. So, what does this mean? Does this mean you're going to get a future title shot, or what's going to happen?
I mean, last year I don't even think they really acknowledged it past the second week after you broke it and all that. I mean, it's a nice tradition. I appreciate traditions, and it'll be a nice tradition to keep up with at Mania. I'm assuming Sheamus is just going to come back and win it.
Don't say that. Please don't say that.
I mean, I would probably bet money on
That's
that.
probably going to happen. The only other way that I would like to see it is Mizdow wins it, and then he makes the Miz carry it around.
That would be cool.
But we'll probably see Sheamus win it.
Yeah. Let's not kid here. Let's not kid around here. Like Sheamus is going to win it.
And my thought is that it's going to become so popular, it's going to be its own pay-per-view eventually. It's going to be the Andre Memorial Battle Royal, like Money in the Bank.
Let's not laugh at this.
They're gonna
that's probably a
they're gonna
possibility.
replace. They're gonna get rid of the Royal Rumble altogether, and it's gonna be the Andre Memorial Battle Royal.
Yeah,
as
they're
the
like, oh,
pay-per-view.
you're not booing anymore. We're going to give you a 3-hour battle royal with stars from every generation.
And you're
We're
a
gonna
terrible,
bring out.
you're
Yeah.
a terrible person if you boo because it's for Andre the Giant.
Yeah, how could you boo
Right,
Andre the
yeah, How
Giant?
dare you? He's the nicest man there was.
I think we discussed this, but was Andre the Giant ever in a battle royal?
Somebody tweeted me back and said that he never got eliminated in a battle royal or something. I don't remember what they just made up. There's just some
He's
reason.
never got eliminated, but he never won a battle royal.
I don't
either.
know.
I don't think so.
I think he was like I don't know. I don't understand Do you know the reason behind why it's the Andre Memorial other than just to?
I think it's just
Honor
a little
Andre.
I don't know if there's actual deep reason in it, but I have no idea.
Well,
Let me ask you about this. We have the Andre Battle Royal, but we also have the Ultimate Warrior Award now at the Hall of Fame with Connor the Crusher.
that's awesome. I think that's the coolest thing.
It's really cool to see him in there. I mean, a lot of people are like, he should go in the Hall of Fame, and I'm like, why would they put a fan in the Hall of Fame? But it's really cool. I like it.
And he's not really going into the Hall of Fame. It's the Warrior Award. It's like a special presentation.
Is that a new thing? Like, is that going to happen every year?
I think so. I thought it was a great idea when Warrior talked about it last year at the Hall of Fame.
Right.
Like I looked over at my friend. I'm like, yeah, that really should be a thing where they honor just different people who had those characteristics of the Warrior and stuff.
Or we
like
could
that.
see like the some of the production people finally get acknowledged.
Yeah, he mentioned that too. Like, the guys behind the scenes that pour their heart into this. Let's give them some camera time.
They can get Frank the Clown get the award
Heck
one
yeah.
year.
Oh my God, that would be a riot in the crowd. Tomatoes and batteries.
If you
flying
didn't
in
want
my
to
head.
if you thought you were gonna get stabbed before, after you win that award, you're gonna have a
yeah.
security team behind you. But no, that's awesome.
Let's talk about the Hall of Fame. Do you feel like they're running out of people to put in the Hall of Fame?
With no disrespect to anyone getting inducted this year, but this is the worst Hall of Fame lineup I've seen in a while. And I mean, it's
Agreed.
awesome Macho Man's going in, but unfortunately, Macho Man's not here to accept it.
Yeah, that's the biggest
And-
issue I have is he's not gonna be there. So it's not like, I mean, it's gonna be cool that he's in it, but it's like he's not gonna. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Right.
I hate
and
to
normally there's
not
like,
put the dead people in it, but it's like,
Well, the coolest part about it is like hearing the stories these guys have to tell. And I mean, you're not going to have Macho Man there telling you stories about anything, and that's what's kind of sad about the whole thing. But yeah, it's a pretty pathetic.
Do you think
class.
I think they've announced everybody. I know there's still rumors about Kevin Nash. They put it in their WrestleMania yearbook that he was supposed to be in the Hall of Fame, and I don't know if the class is closed out yet or if they're going to announce Kevin Nash as the final inductee.
See, the thing to me, I love Kevin Nash, and that was one of my guys growing up that got me into wrestling. So if he's in, I'd be way more excited for it, and I would assume he would probably, he'd be the bigger draw because the other ones are really huge draws. And normally every year there's always like a big draw that's alive that's getting inducted. Like last year was stacked. Like we had Warrior,
Yeah.
Scott Hall, Jake the Snake, and is like those big guys. And then like in years past we've had the HBKs and the Stone Colds, and you always had like that big edge. You always had the big star that was like headlining the class, and there's just not that star this year. And I don't know if Kevin Nash fills that void. I wouldn't say he would, but it would be awesome if he's in it, because he is one of those guys that like has these ridiculous stories and is a great talker.
God, I can imagine the stories he has.
He has some great stories. If you ever watch any of his shoot videos, they're pretty interesting. Yeah.
I would like to see him in a stacked Hall of Fame rather than this year too, because it's kind of I don't want him to be in a forgotten Hall of Fame, and like Frank was saying, I feel like this one is a forgotten Hall of Fame, and maybe it's just because of last year. It was just so stacked last year. I wanted to go to WrestleMania for the Hall of Fame last year. I was like, oh my god, all these people I grew up on are gonna finally get inducted. Like I love Jake the Snake, I love Ultimate Warrior, I love Scott Hall, and so
I don't think we're running out of guys. I think there's still a lot of people. Like we could put Eric Bischoff in there. He's not in there.
Right.
And then there's like a lot of people that are gonna be in it. We know Triple H will be in it one day. Hopefully China.
Sting.
Yeah.
Sting will be in there. Undertaker's still not in it.
You guys aren't excited
Kane,
about the
Big
Bushwhackers? I'm actually excited to see what these guys look like and kind of see what they have to say, if they're going to be in character or not. But I don't. Yeah, this year's Hall of Fame is.
I will say though,
they're
probably running out of divas to put in it.
Yeah.
I guess if you want to put like I said, Kelly in it one year or something. Michelle McCool will be in it probably one year. I don't know. Alundra Blaze, does she really do anything for you? Besides throwing the WCW title in the trash, or the WWE title,
that was her moment.
That was
a lot of people only know her for that, honestly. So I don't know. I mean, it's just a weird class. I just don't understand how they follow up with kind of this stinker after all these years.
This year, this whole Mania just seems like
they're just giving up.
Like they're just like, well, people are still gonna buy it for $9.99.
Yeah,
something's a little off.
People are they're like, let's put NXT to make everybody happy.
And that's what they're doing. Give them NXT. That'll shut them up for a couple nights.
It's not that it's bad. It's just not like, oh my god, this is WrestleMania. It just seems like this whole year is just kind of like, well, all right, I guess.
It's been the build. I mean, that's what I constantly say. It's the build, and you can blame it on many things. I personally still feel it's the 3-hour television. I mean, they're putting way too much content. I mean, that's 3 hours just on Raw. And then you got 2 hours on SmackDown. Sure, they don't progress it, but they still have to fill 2 hours of TV time. And then, the thing about NXT, why that's so great, I think simple is better. The 1 hour format there, and then the 2 hour specials, you get enough, but you're still hungry for more. Like you're just waiting for that next week. And the stories are simple, the stories are great, so I don't know. I blame it on the 3-hour television, and we all know that's probably not going anywhere soon, because that's a pretty healthy income for them too. So,
well, let's move on now. Are you a fan of like all wrestling, Frank? Do you like TNA? Do you like Lucha Underground and stuff like that, or are you strictly WWE?
I'm open-minded towards everything. I don't sit down and watch really anything. Like, I don't go out of my way to watch TNA. I couldn't tell you the last time I watched TNA. Like, I'll check in. Like, I watched TNA to see Grado a couple weeks ago because, like, I'm a fan of Grado. I haven't met Grado yet, but we're, like, Twitter buddies and stuff, and we talk here and there. And I wanted to see him. I wanted to see him on TV. So I watched for that, and I watched, like, a little bit more of the show. And I watched Lucha Underground a couple times, and I was flicking through the channels, and I saw it, and, like, I liked what I saw. And like I keep up with like I loosely keep up with like ROH results. ROH is actually in Chicago tonight. I go to ROH shows like here and there, but I am very I know what's going on in all the wrestling world via like Reddit or Twitter or whatever. So I'm aware of everything that's going on. And I'm aware of like the Nakamura's in New Japan and the Tanahashis and all those guys, and I'm aware of, the Adam Coles and the Kyle O'Reillys on the indie scene and guys like that. But I just don't get around to watching stuff as much as I would probably like to.
How do you think the fans of like Lucha Underground would accept Frank the Clown if you showed up to an event dressed up in your clown outfit?
That's a good question. I would assume I would not be accepted very well.
But yeah, I still say I want to go with you to the Juggalo wrestling.
JCW.
Yeah. Whoop whoop. Yep.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna film it. We're gonna go with you, and I'm probably gonna get killed. But
That would be a documentary in itself, going to the gathering of the Juggalos.
I think you just need to remember Fago or whatever that drink is, and bring that with you, and you hand that at the door, and you're in good hands.
Fago root beer, isn't that what it
Right.
is?
You just bring that, and you'll be good. And then you're dressed like a clown, so you fit right in.
Yep.
It'll be interesting
My kind
to
of
see,
people.
though. But with this wrestling, independent wrestling, there's a lot of I guess we can say controversy going on with Too Sweet is a big thing right now, where a lot of people pay tribute to the Attitude Era by doing Too Sweet and throwing up the click sign, the Wolfpack thing. And now it's coming out that I guess the Young Bucks tweeted this out and said, in before WWE copyrights this, and it was a picture of him doing it. So apparently WWE's trying to copyright the Too Sweet hand gesture, which is kind of weird. What's your take on this, Frank?
It's weird that they're trying to copyright an actual hand gesture. But they just want to be they want to WWE brand everything, and that gesture is used for all kinds of things. That gesture is used in college sports. Texas Longhorns, I think,
Right.
NC State Wolfpack uses it. It's been around for so long, and I don't know if they can really necessarily lay the claim that they are the originators of that. And they just want to make money off this. They just are doing it to spite the Young Bucks, just spite the indie scene. You guys don't work for us, so you're not going to make money off of us, something that we feel like we had a hand in. So that's kind of their way of sticking it to the little guy.
The way I see it is that WWE actually offered the Young Bucks to come down to the training, and they turned them down. And maybe they're kind of like, God damn it, they didn't come, so now let's take this away from them. And they are putting it on T-shirts, and they are selling it, and they are making money off of that.
Well,
and it's a tribute to them, and they actually got Kevin Nash and Scott Hall's permission to do it, because they were like, yeah, it's like a tribute to us, so go ahead and do it. They don't really care.
What was it gonna say? WWE is not even the one that invented that. That was in WCW.
That was the
Too
click,
Sweet.
yeah.
I mean, it's just I don't know.
It's hard though, and now now we have Pro Wrestling Tees out there, which I have a shop on there if you want to check it out, prowrestlingtees.com/TonyBeatsGuy. And they're actually taking down all the New Japan is making them take down all the Bullet Club parody shirts, and it's very hard to. Do you think it's fair that they have to take them down, because it is a parody? I mean, isn't parody fair use?
Yeah, I mean, technically, legally and technically, I believe it is. It's it's not huge money in the grand scheme of things. It's not $1 million deal that they're trying to put a stop to. It seems like it's kind of like a petty thing to handle, but I mean, to each of their own. Everybody kind of everybody's, especially in the world of making money and everything in business, everybody wants to be out for themselves. So by wiping out all those shirts and everything, that kind of monopolizes the market and doesn't let anybody.
It seems like everything the Young Bucks touch is getting so much problems with, and it's just all they're doing is just going out there and putting on awesome wrestling matches and trying to pay tribute to the people that they like. And I'm pretty sure they're probably going to get in trouble for doing Suck It, because they do that now, and then they have it on T-shirts and stuff. I think they're going to get in trouble for that. So it's a crazy time that we're in, where things are becoming so popular that they're taking it away from people who are paying tribute to it.
Imagine that, WWE putting the stop to things that are popular. That's crazy. That's a crazy concept.
Seems like we're turning into an anti-WWE podcast. We're all going to go to Mania and support that.
I don't think we're not anti-WWE. I just think we've all been fans growing up our whole lives, and the product's obviously changed since when we were younger, and it's kind of not geared towards us anymore. So I think we're all just kind of a little irritated.
We care so much.
Yeah, we
too.
do. We do care. I mean, I know it's probably going to get better. I had this conversation with my buddy Joe the other day. I was like, if you actually look at wrestling, they targeted me from the time I was a little kid, early 90s, late 80s when I first started watching it. If you watch the product back then, it's very kid friendly. I mean, they had coloring books and wrestlers singing hokey songs and stuff. And as I got older, the wrestling has kind of progressed with me, and it got a little bit more edgier and stuff. And I kind of feel once I got to be my mid 20s was when there's all right, let's start over again. Let's gear towards the kids, and we'll follow this group of kids all the way up. Because I think the product is getting a little bit more, I don't know if I want to necessarily say edgier, but I mean, it's not as PG. I mean, yeah, they are like the Flintstone cartoon thing that's coming out. Yeah, that's kind of kid friendly.
Well, they could say words like bitch and all that, but then middle fingers are cut off.
Yeah. But I feel that, I mean, it's not going to ever get to like it was in the Attitude Era. They're not going to have girls in lingerie fights and flipping people off and stuff like that. And obviously, we're probably not going to ever get blood and chair shots to the head again. But I feel the product can get better. And I feel there's times where they feel like they are getting better with the stuff that they're putting out there. But then they do one little thing and it's just like, oh, it's kind of.
Yeah, it's like sometimes they take one step forward and like 10 steps backwards.
Right.
It's like you'll randomly have this weird pay-per-view where like every match is amazing. And then you'll go to Raw and it's like, oh my God, what are we watching? And then it's like the next 10 weeks are terrible. And then you'll go to a pay-per-view and it's awesome again.
You'll have a TV monitor spark in Dean Ambrose's face. That was terrible.
I got a question. Like, you say you love like the house shows a lot too. Like going to a lot of house shows, does that change your opinion on certain superstars? Because they're portrayed on, like, I totally agree with you, the house shows and stuff. Do you like superstars more like at house shows than their TV character? I mean, does that change your opinion? Just seeing them in that light?
Yeah, absolutely. Like there's guys that I like to call like great house show wrestlers, and that pretty much entails them working a good match and interacting with the crowd and like getting on the microphone and speaking more than they would speak on television. And like a couple like some examples of great house show wrestlers. Punk was one of the greatest house show wrestlers because when he was a heel, he'd walk down to that ring, he would find like just the fattest guy or the ugliest woman and like just pick on them and like really it would take like 10 minutes for entrances sometimes before he would wrestle in this match, and he would like get everybody just to hate him horribly. Del Rio was a guy that great house show wrestler, great. He would interact with everybody in the crowd. He would really get under people's skins. He'd put on good matches every single time. With Ricardo, he would cut good promos. And it wasn't like the same Destiny, that he would say like 15 times on a Raw. And then on Raw, he would come off as boring sometimes. And like he didn't really get a chance to like really shine and let that kind of charisma come through. But at house shows, he was awesome. Those are the two guys that really jump out to me. And like a guy like even like Ryback, when Ryback was a heel, like heels work house shows a little bit better because they get more freedom. And like when he was a heel, like he would really, really, really get into it with people, like to the point where like he would want them to fight, and nobody would dare fight him. So he was one of those guys that really would stomp around the ring and bark in people's faces. And after he would do a big power slam, he would scream at someone or call them stupid. So the freedom is there, and these guys really appreciate that freedom. And I think that also goes back to NXT, where like all those guys have freedom down there to kind of do whatever they want. And Kevin Owens can do a flip over the top rope out to the outside of the ring, or he can do a package pile driver and stuff that he wouldn't probably be able to do on Raw that they're going to take away from him maybe at some point. So all those guys all down there love it. And then like at the house shows, like all the wrestlers, and they don't really take it too seriously, honestly. Like because like guys like Big Show and Kane, they've been doing house shows for like 15 years. Right. Like it's just, they're not mailing in by any means, but like it's just like, it's just another show. Like, oh, there's 5,000 people here. This show essentially means nothing in the grand scheme of things. We're just going to go out and have fun. And there's not that strict, like, you need to be done in 8 minutes. Oh my God, if you screw up this move, it's going to be scrutinized by millions on Twitter. Like, they can go out and kind of do whatever they want. They screw up. It doesn't work. Okay, we don't do that on TV then. So.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. You're talking about Kevin Owens in NXT basically doing whatever he wants. There was a story come out that I think it was Bill DeMott that didn't like the way that Kevin Owens was booked against CJ Parker in his debut match. And then he went up to Triple H, and Triple H basically said, let him do whatever he wants. What is your take on that? Like, Triple H I just imagine like, just like Kevin Owens do what he wants, and then he too sweets him, and then he just goes out there and like
right. NWO music hits. And
yeah, what do you?
Owens comes out air playing a guitar.
What do you think about that? Like Kevin Owens, like being in like Triple H's clique, and like a lot of those people are restricted from doing those like indie type moves that get him over. Like he didn't want Kevin Owens to flip over the top, and You know, what do you think about that? Like getting that favoritism? Do you think it should be because he's that good, or do you think they should? I don't know. Well, I don't know what to think of this.
Yeah, like I mean, like those guys are like miles ahead of like the people that are just got signed because they're bodybuilders or like they spent a year on the indie scene or something like that, or they look good. Like, yeah, I mean, these guys got signed for doing things like that and being who they are. So why would you strip that away from them? Because then they're not who they were anymore. Like Kevin Steen is not Kevin Steen. He's now WWE Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
You know, if they strip him away. But now he's his own Kevin Owens. He's not WWE's creation. He's still himself. Finn Balor, I thought they would probably take away the body paint and stuff like that. No, they're marketing it. They're really embracing it. They're making T-shirts out of it. They're letting him be him and what was successful and what's worked for him instead of signing, you know, trying to think of like some, like, I think like Chris Hero might be a good example. Like they signed Chris Hero, they changed him to Cassius Ohno. He was still similar, but like they took away a lot of things that made him unique. They didn't really give him a chance to be on the microphone as much, and like he just never really connected with the crowd. And then again, they didn't have NXT like that. He wasn't really around for the big NXT boom. But yeah, like let these guys be themselves. It's already worked for them on the indies. They've already had people buy tickets for them, buy their T-shirts, buy their DVDs. It's going to translate over, and they have that fan base already built in. So don't strip them down and make them something they're not. Just let them be. And look, I mean, NXT is probably the best wrestling product there is right now. And once those guys get to the main roster, keep them that way. Don't turn them, you know, don't put a cape on Adrian Neville and make him Mighty Mouse. Just let him be Adrian Neville.
What's great about Kevin Owens, he has like the best career in WWE right now. He wrestles like, I think he had like 3 matches, and then he wins a title, and he comes out and just cuts promos, and like he doesn't do anything. He barely gets any moves done to him, and then he just wins belts and powerbombs people against ring aprons, and then he throws water on Alex Riley and starts a feud with him.
Alex Riley.
He's got like the best career, and like the reason it works, I think, is we talked about this a couple weeks in a row, but it's just such a simple storyline where people can latch onto that. You don't have to get some like elaborate TV explosion, which we always go back to that one as like the lamest thing that they've done recently is the Bray Wyatt Dean Ambrose TV explosion. But you just do some simple stuff like, hey, we used to be friends. You made it here before I did. I want that belt so I can make my family richer and provide for my family. And it's such a simple story like that, and that's why I think NXT works. Is they stay on that simple path.
Right. It's the kind of road is there, and the road to success is there. It's been paved. They kind of Triple H understands what works and what doesn't. They just need to kind of stay the course. Don't try anything too extreme. Don't go outside their comfort zone by, you know, too much. And I mean, it's a recipe for success.
Well, I think we've reached our hour-and-a-half limit with you. We won't want to hold you off too long. Is there anything you want to say about WrestleMania, where you're going to be, where people can run into you maybe if they want to?
Where people can buy your T-shirt?
Yeah, T-shirt. Plug everything. Yeah. Your Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Vine, Tumblr, Pinterest. Tout's not even around anymore. That's crazy.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I'm a great self-promoter. I'm a whore for like self-promoting, so I could do that, yeah. I'm going to be in California all week, so I'll be there from like Tuesday to Tuesday. I will be the guy that you can either recognize with clown face paint on or next to the beautiful 6-foot-tall blonde woman.
Is she really 6 foot?
She is 6 foot tall. Yeah, she's 6 feet tall. And when she puts heels on, oh my God. It's a little emasculating. I'm not going to lie. Like last year we went out in like New Orleans on Bourbon Street. Everybody was out on Bourbon Street, like wrestlers and everything. So we went to a couple places and like there was like more wrestlers there than like fans, it seemed like. And then I got her with me, and then it's like people are like looking like, okay, that's interesting. Like I'm like 5'9", 5'10". Like I'm not like a midget by any means. Like I'm not a huge guy, but also I'm pretty average. And but yeah, she's got those long legs, and she's definitely catches everybody's eyes. So it's a very
you guys are probably getting more attention than the wrestlers down there.
Yeah, it's really different and something that I've gotten used to a little bit more. But last year like I said, it was a little bruised to my ego. of these people like kind of looking down at me like, oh wow, that guy with her, or like, oh, okay, yeah, and she's like really tall and he's really short, and like, okay, whatever. But now I'm very accepting of it. But yeah, I'll be around all week. I'll be at Access and stuff, and I'm gonna probably stop. I've never been to WrestleCon before. I like to stop around WrestleCon, and then the Raw, the Hall of Fame. I don't think I'm gonna go to WrestleMania. I think I'm gonna skip that. I'm not into it this year.
I'm not into that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna screw WrestleMania. But yeah, so I'll be around. I have T-shirts. People want to buy them. That's great. Barbershopwindow.com. You can search for Frank the Clown. They're on there. They're ridiculous. They're gaudy, but they're hilarious. So wear them, and it'll be cool. And I will love you forever. And yeah, and Twitter at Frank WWE Clown. I think that's pretty out there by now. And yeah, I'll probably have I think at this point I'm going to have a camera follow me around literally all week. If it's not you guys, it'll be somebody else.
You should have a table with your shirts next to, because I read Noel Full is going to be signing with Mick at WrestleCon too. So you should be like having your shirts like right next to him.
That's going to be a spectacle in itself. I cannot wait to see the people that show up for that. So I will be there. I think I want to go. She's there Friday and Saturday morning. So I'm going to, whatever works in my schedule and everything, try to make it out too. But yeah, that's going to be interesting. I don't know. I don't want to steal her thunder, although she steals my thunder all the time.
You can steal her nitro.
Right, yeah. There we go.
Lame wrestling
was
joke.
so stupid.
Like wrestling jokes rule.
Well, we're definitely looking forward to meeting you, Frank. You're very. Thank you for calling in and taking time out of your schedule to talk with us today.
No problem. It was a pleasure.
I'll definitely be buying one of your T-shirts, and I think you need to bring your extra afro wig with you so people can get pictures taken with you wearing it.
Yeah, that should be your gimmick.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I have multiple wigs, so I'll just start peddling them off on like just all kinds of wacky wrestling events.
You'd fit in with the WrestleCon crowd. You can just charge like $50 for a picture, then you'd be right in with all the wrestlers.
Right,
at
even if I
WrestleCon.
get one photo, I'll take it. $50, one photo. Somebody will bite.
I remember last year at WrestleCon, like a picture with the Steiner brothers was like $200 or something. I was like, I think I'll pass on that one.
Like you had to be putting me in the goddamn Steiner recliner.
Right.
But yeah, it's interesting. It'll be fun time for you to go to WrestleCon, WrestleMania, NXT, all that fun stuff, and it's gonna be a good time. So if you're out and about in San Jose, come say hi to all of us and Frank the Clown. Any final thoughts? Give us our
WrestleMania is going to be a very, very interesting show, but I'm almost looking forward, like you said, to the week's events more so than almost the show itself. But when the show was Sunday morning, whenever I wake up for WrestleMania and I'm there, it's like a weird feeling. And whenever I walk into the venue, I try to stay. And they've been doing like a thing now where they reveal the stage like the night before, like on YouTube or whatever on the network. I stay away from that. I kind of want to go in with an open mind and then like kind of take it all in. It's like a weird thing I have where like I just want to not know how it looks, and I want to walk in and just let it all sink in, and then just kind of go to my seat and then just go nuts.
Yeah, I'm excited now. Just the way you described that right there, I'm like, man, I'm getting goosebumps over here. So.
Right, so they need to start paying me for doing this. They need to start paying me to start hyping up their stuff. I'm not even looking forward to the damn card.
Yeah, I'm sure they want to pay you now. After.
Yeah.
This card sucks, but I love WrestleMania.
Right.
No, we're gonna let Frank be on his merry way. We'll see you at WrestleMania. Safe travels as well.
Yes.
Thank you.
And have fun tonight if you go to the house show.
Yes, as always.
And you'll have to give us a report on that and let us know how it went. If there's any awesome Randy Orton John Cena match, like you said.
Right. I sure hope so.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
All right. So for Logan Davis, Anthony Douglas, I'm Jack Lubash, and I'm jacking off.